The Marine Corps teaches you about several things. It teaches you about commitment, it teaches you about focus, and it teaches you about life. I'm Sergeant John Leo Morgan, lifer in the United States Marine Corps. I didn't start out wanting to join the Marine Corps, and this is my story. I was born and raised in Havre de Grace, Maryland. My best friend growing up was Hallie Weston. We did everything together. We played high school ball together, football, basketball. We both graduated and got scholarships to Bowie College, which by now you may know as Bowie State University. Within the first week of practice, I earned the position of starting guard on offense and starting defensive tackle. I was a freshman. I was pretty talented. I was a good student in high school, but I didn't realize in college that you had to be able to manage both things, to be a student and an athlete. Bowie is a historically black college, and you had to keep the grades to stay there. I had a great season my freshman year. And to put the icing on the cake, the weekend before our Thanksgiving break, we beat the defending CIAA champs, our rivals for decades, Morgan State University. Got off the bus, and the president of the university was sitting there waiting on us. He said, "Morgan, I need you to come with me to my house." I said, "All right, sir. Hallie and I'll be right there." He said, "No, sir. Son, you can catch up with Hallie later. Matter of fact, get in my car." He ushered me right into his study. I'm sitting in his study, and he closes the door. He looked at me and he said, "Morgan, son, I have failed you." To this point, I had no idea what he was talking about. Son, I regret to inform you that the faculty has placed you on academic probation, which means you will not have a scholarship next semester. You have to inform your parents that they will have to finance next semester. Son, I'm sorry. At that point, all I could think of was how was I going to tell my parents? He told me that a letter will be going home after the semester ended. My parents raised me by the golden rule. They did not hesitate to apply the rod of correction to the seat of knowledge. And now this was going to be more tragic because I knew my father, all the hard work that he and my mother put and invested in me, for me to say I'm now going to be on academic probation, he was probably going to apply the boot of understanding to the skull of stupidity. I did not know what to do. When we returned from fall break, we reached the train station that Sunday night. The next morning, I received what I thought was a blessing from God. There were notices up around campus where they were enlisting, drafting young black males for the Vietnam War. I figured my parents would be so sad and so worried about me in Vietnam that when I came home, they wouldn't even care about what kind of grades I left with. I said, "Hallie, this is our chance to become men and become heroes. We go to Vietnam in the Army, and when we come home, 1, we'll have military experience. 2, we'll have benefits. 3, we'll have women falling all over us." I think that's what really attracted Hallie, because he wasn't in an academic situation. Hallie was fine, but Hallie was my best friend. So Hallie said, I'm with you, Morgan. I'm with you. We went into the recruiter's office to sit down with an Army recruiter. We came out, enlisted in the Marine Corps. I still don't know how that happened. But the good thing about it was, the Marine Corps said the day you finish your fall semester, we will put you on a bus to Parris Island. Now that's kind of a misnomer, because there was nothing about that place that reminded you of Paris. And when you think of an island, you don't think of prison. It was the first day they had us crawling on our bellies under the live wire through the mud that Hallie looked over at me and said, I thought you were my friend. And I said, I know you're mine because you're here with me. That boot camp was pure D hell. When we got Vietnam, I looked around that plane and I saw an orange glow coming through the window, bouncing off the faces of 15 scared little boys. I was included in that group. We had no idea what faced us. All we knew now was we wanted to get back home. When that door opened, we had everything attached, and we jumped. In 10 seconds, you pulled. We landed at our point. Our sergeant gave us his name, addressed us, and gave us our orders. We piled into Jeeps. It's time to ride. Because I was a big man, I was in charge of manning the saw. Sometimes it was on a tripod mount, sometimes it was on your hip, but that was my assignment. I would almost guess that to that point, none of us had taken the life of a human being. Almost all of us had gone hunting before. But to hunt an animal, which is hard enough, but to consider that animal another human being, your enemy, and you had no knowledge of them, you didn't know how they grew up, you didn't know the oppression they went through, you didn't know what they had to deal with, they told you they were your enemy. So you had to treat them as your enemy. This was the mindset that we had to adopt. We were one of the more successful recon units. Our first mission, we'd go into a village. We had to find any survivors, the last unit. We had to grab any weapons, any rations. We were told to level the village. Third building, our sergeant went in. He comes out. Then he yells, nothing to clear. We kept moving. Found out later that there were babies in that house. Babies. He broke orders. But that was my sergeant. Our sergeant knew more than we did. He had been in Vietnam for 4 years. He had not come home on leave one time in those 4 years. Yet he still found compassion for babies. We did 9 more successfully without losing a man. We did face adversity. We did take lives. I'm sure we cut down some buildings with people in them. On the 11th, we had to move across the forest, through the jungle. We had to clear a path for some medical units. Got in formation on the side of this ridge, laid there from 2000 hours, which is 8 p.m., and we were going to move through at 0600, which is 6 a.m. civilian time. Our sergeant had scouted the area, sent Hallie and another private over to scout with him. They found out there were some foxholes already dug deeper in, but Hallie and the other private were responsible for digging a preliminary trench that we could all move to in position. They did so under the cover of darkness. They came back into position on the other side of the ridge where we were waiting. That morning at 05:30, a call came over our sergeant's radio, letting us know that the skies looked clear. Help was 2 minutes out if we needed it. We surveyed the trees beyond the foxholes. In that surveillance, we didn't see any snipers. We surveyed high line, midline, and low line. We did not see any snipers. As the first group got set to come over the ridge, a call came out. It was 05:50. Hold your positions. All of a sudden, you could hear it in the sky. And that forest lit up. Bright yellow orange cloud. The spotter caught some snipers lying on the ground. So they dropped a bomb to light up the forest. At 05:55, we were asked to move into position. We all hit that trench like a swarm of bees on honey. Tucked in tight. My best friend was right beside me. We were given the order from our sergeant to move forward. We moved up, scrambled to the first line, jumped in the foxhole. And then I heard it. An explosion that riddled me deaf for 30 seconds in my left eardrum. As I fell back against my foxhole, my best friend's head landed in my lap. When Hallie dropped, he dropped on a landmine. It sent his body in each and every direction. I looked down at my best friend, and all I could muster to do was close his eyes as he looked at me, not knowing what happened. I am the reason he lost his life. I don't remember the accounts of what happened the rest of that day. The next thing I remember, I'm sitting in a tent with a colonel and a general and my sergeant. They're asking me if I'm all right. All I can tell them is I killed my best friend. I killed my best friend. I was sent home, which was the last place I wanted to be. And I got off that plane. I could not find my parents anywhere. But I found Mr. and Mrs. Weston walking towards me. I didn't know how they were going to react, whether they were going to start punching me, screaming at me, spitting on me. I did not know. I cost their son his life. But when they saw me, all they could say was, "We're glad you're home, son. We don't blame you for anything." He was a grown man, and he made the same decision you made. 2 of our children left, but we still have 1 coming home. Mrs. Weston hugged me and said, "We begged your parents to let us come pick you up." It gave us peace in our heart. I went back to Bowie, and I finished my time, and I went back to the Corps. And I became a drill instructor because I wanted these young men to know how precious life is, and this is not a game. I am now Chaplain John Leo Morgan of the United States Marine Corps and Havre de Grace High School. Life is a gift. God gives us one, just one. And if you waste it, it's no one's fault but yours. Live your life every day. Experience all you can. And know that when it's over, it's over.